What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the Wolf Among Us 2 and the Game Awards. I can't possibly make a series of Game Awards videos on games that are going to be or not going to be there without talking about the Wolf Among Us 2, right? There's absolutely no way you can leave this game out, and it's sad. It's definitely, I don't think this is necessarily a positive video, because I'm gonna kind of come in pretty hot and just say, actually, within the first 30 seconds of the video, I do not think this game is gonna be there. And maybe, to be honest with you, I'm trying to like jinx myself. You know, I think I get a fair amount of things right. I don't keep a running total, but I feel like my predictions are probably somewhere in the 60 to 80% range. But if there's ever a time to be wrong, and if there's ever a time to, again, jinx myself to make something happen when I say that it's not going to, it's a situation like this. Now, I do want to say a couple like unique individual things here with the Wolf Among Us 2, but generally, no, I do not think the game is going to be there. I want to hear from you guys in the comments as well. I'm pretty low on this game. Not in terms of, I think I've always held the same kind of standard with it, where I still want it. I'll think 1,000% more than most people. I still want it. I still, to a degree, believe in the quality. I don't think the game's going to come out and just be like a total train wreck. Maybe I should expect that. So if it's good, I'm like wildly surprised. But honestly, that's not my situation. I actually think the game will be quite good. The one thing that time has killed, like really like just hurt me and made me kind of drop my standards, is with the announcement, is with the next reveal. I've gone from always kind of being optimistic, and I'm optimistic on a lot of other games, but I'm just very pessimistic as to, I think we'll see it. I think we'll see it eventually. But if you ask me for any individual event, I think the answer is always going to be no. It's almost like it's always no until it actually happens, and then it's just a nice surprise. That's kind of my standard, at least with this game. It's actually not necessarily the standard with other games, but it definitely is for this one. Now, okay, some unique things with the Wolf Among Us Jeff Keeley Game Awards, right? Well, number one, obviously, this is where it all began. Maybe even the original, but this is where we first saw it, okay? It's been a long time, and another part to it that we've talked about pretty much, I think, every time we talked about Wolf is Jeff Keeley and Wolf Among Us are connected, not just because he, showed it off in the reveal originally, but he was the one to go out of his way to visit the studio, sit down in that round table, show off the trailer, the only legitimate trailer, I would say, 2, 3, 4 minutes long. The only one that we actually have of this game was kind of through Jeff Keeley, and Jeff Keeley asked them questions. Remember, that's where we got the confirmation that the game was going to be episodic. Now, we'll see if that ends up happening, although The Expanse was, and that's kind of the only one that ever was episodic, recently. So, but that's where we got all this information from. What's the key? Jeff Keeley, right? Jeff Keeley has been the key behind all of this. Now, the one issue is, and I don't know this for sure, right? Because I know like Summer Game Fest, Gamescom, right? Like you have to pay money to get your game there. I mean, like advertisers pay obviously as well, but even just to get your game as a slot to one of these events, and I do imagine the Game Awards is the same thing because he's got to make money, right? Although you could argue, well, how much money is he making? But he does have to make money. I do think that's fair. You have to pay an absolutely unreal amount of money, right? I think it's like $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, depending on how long of a trailer you're showing of your game, right? And depending on which event, Gamescom, Summer Game Fest, etc. So I bring that up not because look, that's more money than we'll ever have, probably. I mean, if you have more money than that, that's great for you, but it's more money than I'll ever have. At the same time, though, it is important to bring up with Telltale, because what's the one thing we've heard over and over and over with Telltale, behind the scenes, whatever, is the struggle with money. Now, that's literally what got them destroyed, years ago, and then they kind of came back, and the rumor now is, again, they're struggling with money. So, one thing I have always said, and that was a good time to re-say it because of the Game Awards, if there's ever a time for Jeff Keeley to throw a game a bone, right? And he's done it before. I mean, it was at Midnight Express. Is that what the game's called? It was that fighting top-down game that I think was made by one guy, right? And I don't know if he had to pay to get the game shown. I think it was shown at the Game Awards. Sometimes Jeff, I imagine, I feel, he shows games that he just feels passionate about, right? Maybe a studio approaches him, or maybe he's just into a game, he calls them, and they work something out, and they show off a reveal. Because, he has the returns, right? Studios that he's worked with before kind of come back to him, or he goes back to them, whichever it is, and he gets those kind of return investments almost. I feel like that's how you get it. And even more recently, was it over the summer, maybe it was the spring, when they showed us those 4 screenshots, right? right? And they said, like, development's continuing and stuff like that. I think they did it through like a blog post on their website, and Jeff, tweeted it. He was kind of like the signal for the info. He's the one who sent it out there. So he's still around. He's still around The Wolf Among Us. He's been around it since the very beginning. And I think as long as that fact is always true, which it always is, right? Because it literally has already happened. As long as you remember that, I do think it's possible. So let me end this like slightly more optimistically than I started. While I'm not willing to put myself in a situation to be disappointed by this game anymore. I'm done. I'm really done being disappointed with this game, so I'm just not going to do it. At the same time, they will always have that connection. There will always be that chance. I firmly believe that. There is always a chance that The Wolf Among Us, and here's actually, I would say, the thing. There's always a chance until Telltale says no, because I correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the last couple times, because I've done videos on this, I feel like every freaking time we've had an award show or just a show in general, Telltale normally comes out like a day, a week, a month, whatever, and they say, like, we're not going, just to, like, make sure we're going to dispel any rumors. We're not going to be there. I think they did that. Pretty sure they did that with Gamescom. Pretty sure they did that with Summer Game Fest. If they don't do it and I haven't checked on them recently, so I mean, something could happen. If they don't say anything going into the Game Awards, and if people are asking, right? If people are on Twitter saying, "Hey, you going? You don't like harass them." But if people say that to them, and they do not answer, like giving a no is different than not giving an answer, right? So if they don't give an answer, then maybe it's possible. So I would my optimism would turn around quite fast, I think, if that actually happened. But again, right now, my opinion is no, and it's really no until just something happens. I really don't know when that day is, just until something. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.